Hey, everybody, and welcome to a brand new podcast, or at least one that's going to have a brand new look. How to Be a Real One Percenter has been a great podcast, but we're giving it a rebrand. And it's mainly because I've had this epiphany in recent times that have really just connected me with a whole nother level of what is this podcast about? What are we doing in it? What's our what are we wanting people to be able to gain from watching this podcast? And it dawned on me recently. I was just reflecting on some of the things that have happened in this work, mainly some of the things that people have done in their lives, the massive differences that they've created in their lives, the changes they've created, the limitations that they've busted through, just using the power of their mind. And it occurred to me that what we really do here is it's the mind shift. And so this podcast is now going to be rebranded to the Mind Shift with Sridhar. And we are going to continue to have some amazing guests sharing stories about what they've been able to do with their mind, limitations that they've been able to break through that they just didn't see possible before they begin certain conversations and looking at things in certain ways. And we are going to continue to be doing that. This episode is just an opportunity really for me to introduce you to, which I can't wait. I'm really enthused about where this is going and the possibilities of what could come out of this podcast if you watch it and start applying some of the things that we talk about in here to your life and some of the breakthroughs of limitations that you may have, that you may not even know that you've got, that you start breaking through and changing your life moving forward. So from the next episode on, we're going to be bringing in some great guests again. But for now, I just wanted to share with you the background. How did we get here to the Mind Shift, and what are we going to be doing, and what can you expect as you watch episodes of the Mind Shift going forward? The first thing is just I'm so enthused to share with you is this has connected me with something that's age old for me that happened when I was a teenager that I just forgotten all about, hadn't thought about it for a long time, but this Mind Shift has brought it back to me. That when I was a teenager, I had this, I don't know, call it understanding, that during the course of my lifetime, it was just a feeling I had or an understanding. During the course of my lifetime, humanity was going to go through this evolution in consciousness or awareness of who we are and the power of our minds and the power of who we are and what we can do. And I just remember having this. I was too young to really understand what it meant, but I just remember going, well, that's really interesting. But it felt right that we were going to go through this massive evolution of consciousness, of self-awareness and understanding of who we were during the course of my lifetime. And it is, and this is what's happening. If you look around the world and who we're starting to know ourselves to be, it is happening. And it's what our work is dedicated to. It's what our work has always been dedicated to here, is understanding ourselves more, understanding our power, understanding what's possible for us to create, and living that greatest version of our life, which is a possibility for us. And I think what really excites me the most is that it takes me back to my mind shift. And that's where I'd start. And I guess before I do that, let me just share that where this came from was as part of just the journey of how do we want to help people to grow and to achieve things in their life, to achieve their greatest potential. What do we do? And I was reflecting on that, and all of a sudden, just pictures of people that I've worked with over the course of the years and these past 3 decades really started to come to mind. I saw this 8-year-old kid who arrived to the work, and he'd had rashes all over his arms, and he tried everything possible medically and otherwise to try to remove, to deal with them. And he came and said, look, I heard about mindset work and I'd like to give it a go. And, within a very short period of time, this kid disappeared those rashes, and they've been gone for over 10 years now. So it's something that was a permanent change for him, that he was able to use the power of his mind, the power of the understanding between the mind and the body. I think about some of the episodes that we've had on How to Be a Real One Percenter, like Christy sharing her story of how she used mindset after trying so many different ways to actually address a gut issue that was going on for her, a serious gut issue that was going on for her. The people that have come on and shared that they've stopped drinking using the power of their mind, or, stopped addictions using the power of their mind. They've turned businesses around using the power of their mind. They've created, entirely different financial situations in their life. They've turned relationships around, relationships that were going to be, they were breaking up. There was no hope for them. using the power of their minds and then the power of their actions as they changed their perceptions, they were able to powerfully change those relationships. To some of them I think about now, they have extraordinary relationships now because they were able to change their minds. They were able to shift their minds out of these stuck patterns that they were in. Some of them didn't even know. Most of them didn't even know that they were in them. But they were shifting these patterns around so that they could break through and get results. And, it's all about, for me, living the best version of your life. So the mind shift, we're all about creating a life beyond limits. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be, from the next episode on, bringing on guests of sharing how they've broken through limitations, the results that they've been able to achieve by doing that. So we're going to be having some great stuff going forward. Same great type of guests, but sharing in a bit of a different capacity. What were your mind shifts? How did you get them? What are the differences in the way that you're thinking? And what are the results you've been able to create? When I started thinking to these people, I think limitations just don't exist for them. And it dawned on me quite a long time ago that our limitations are just here in the mind. That's where they are. And if we're able to get past them, shift our minds and get past those limitations, break through to new levels of awareness of who we really are, then there really isn't anything that we can't do. So I'm just super enthused to be bringing you this podcast with these amazing people that we're going to be having from here. And just a little bit of a background on where it's going is what I wanted to do in this first solo cast. And then we're going to get straight into it from the next episode on and bring people on to share how they've been doing what they're doing and what they've achieved as a result of it. And furthermore, how you can do it, how you can make some shifts in your life and achieve everything that you want and connect with things that you want that you may not have even realized that you could have or you could do. And what this really takes me back to, and why I'm so connected with this mind shift, is it takes me back to my mind shift. When I was in my early 20s, I'd had a run of about 12 years of increasing drug addiction. And in my early to mid 20s, I ended up homeless. I was in Seattle, Washington in the States. And I just ended up absolutely with nothing. I was destitute. I was homeless. And I guess the worst part about it was I just was bankrupted in self-worth. Like I just didn't have any kind of good feeling about who I was. I felt like I was so bad, like I didn't even deserve to be around. And this is the reality I was living in. And that first day that I ended up homeless in Seattle, Washington, I got off the bus and I was walking around this town. I didn't have any money left. And I just remember looking up at this tower. It was the Space Needle Tower, which is this amazing tower in Seattle, Washington. And as I looked at it, it was the moment of an epiphany that I had. And I just remember hearing this internal voice or epiphany just saying, Sridhar, you're meant to be up there, not down here. And there's an infinite potential for this life. And you've just been living this lowest, worst version of it. What are you going to do? And that was the first mind shift I had. The mind shift for me was I had a glimpse of the life that I could live. A life of success, a life of enjoyment, a life of feeling fulfilled, a life of feeling confident, a life that was enriched with people and meaningful work and all these different areas, relationships that I could have, that I just wasn't on that path. And that moment woke me up to it. And I just knew my mind shift was, that's the life that I'm going to live. And I have no idea how I'm going to get there, but somehow I am. And looking back on that was over 30 years ago now. What I know from looking back on that now is that mind shift opened up a whole world for me. It opened up a whole different way of looking at things, and it actually just brought people in. It brought ideas in. And from that point, I just started to have some of the most amazing teachers that started to show me the power of my mind, how I could use the power of my mind to stop the drug addiction that I was doing, to stop the behavior, to stop the low self-worth thinking patterns that I had, to start creating, to start dreaming about what I wanted my life to be. And as I look back on that time and I think about how different my life is now, I work with some of the most successful people in different arenas of life, business and sports and athletics. And, they come to the work because they want to have a mind shift. They want to get better results. And I think about, wow, from that kid back then, that young man that had no clue to that's what people are doing. It lets me know that a mind shift can bring about everything that we need to change our life. And ever since that time, when that happened in my mid-20s, I've been dedicated to helping other people to achieve what the gift I was given, or to be given the gift that I was given. A wake-up call to who and what you really are, to how I was stuck in things I didn't need to be stuck in. And that's been the work over these past this long period of time. And when we originally wanted to launch the podcast, which was the How to Be a Real One Percenter, it was to share some of those stories and to have people come on and share some of their stories as to, how were they doing it? And so our format's going to go forward. We're going to be bringing people on to share their mind shifts and all the different aspects of life, what they've been able to achieve and how they've done it. What are some of these mind shifts that they've had? What are some of the things they've dealt with? So, of course, we've already been doing that in a lot of the episodes. We're just going to format it now where we talk a bit more about, what can you do as a viewer of it? What can you do to start getting those shifts in your life? And we're going to be talking about all kinds of topics around how to shift your mind and how to just start moving towards that life that is beyond any kind of limitation for you. What do you really want? What are those limits in the way? And how do you get forward? So you can probably tell that I'm really enthusiastic about this one. Look, it's really a culmination of my life's work. That's what's come to this. And this is the launch of it. The mind shift is the launch of that movement that I felt as a teenager. This is our participation in bringing that about and in helping people to realize how powerful you are and to realize how to identify and get past the limitations that might be in your life that you may or may not even know are there. And how do you break through it? And how do you achieve all the things that you really want in your life? And most importantly, how do you enjoy it and fulfill yourself to know just how powerful you are and the kind of life that the great life that you're here to live. So I really hope you tune into the episodes that are going to follow. And I'd like to welcome you to the Mindshift podcast and can't wait to bring you more episodes. Thank you for watching this one. And we'll be back soon with some guests sharing their stories of how they've had a mind shift and how they have on their way and to creating a life beyond limits, and some of what they've already done and some of what they're going to keep doing going forward. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.